girl Charlie, she's filling in for Molly. And Dominique Foxworth, I feel sorry for his loss. He's filling in for Max Kellerman. We're going to talk about who would you start a franchise with, Trae Young or Luka Doncic? First Take starts now. You don't want to miss it.
It's exciting to be able to go back home.
I gotta enjoy each game.
We got a chance to bounce back. You gotta be ready.
Just move on. Nobody picked him up. Now takes a deep three and drills it. What a start for the Hawks.
They came out aggressive. They threw a big punch.
Giannis dunks it with her right hand. How do you stop that freight train? Middleton buries another one.
Whoa, the Chris Middleton show.
We just stuck with it. Kept trying to grind them down. Finally, they started dropping for me at the right time, so I'm thankful for that.
How quickly things can change. Hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome to First Take on this beautiful Monday. I'm Charlie Arnold. We got Dominique Foxworth and Kendrick Perkins in the building. Gentlemen, how you doing today? You both look excellent in your different shades of what we have. Gray, the blues, looking good.
Doing the best I can. I'm hanging in there.
I'm doing well, Charlie. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Okay, guys,
we have... Good morning to you only, Charlie.
Oh, okay. I see where this is going.
Who determined who's in which seat? How come you get the Stephen A seat and I'm in the Max seat? I don't know if I agree with that. I declare that I'm filling in for Stephen A and you filling in for Max.
Okay, well, we'll see how this goes. Maybe, Dominic, you'll get the intro next time. But, guys, we have 1 hour. We have a lot to get to, so it's kind of going to be like, the Fast and the Furious, but we got this. So, look. We're all in different places right now, but I know all of us tuned into the same game last night. It saw the Bucks take a 2-1 series lead on the road. The fourth quarter was the difference maker. The Tides shifted with about 8 minutes left in the fourth. Trae Young stepped out of bounds on a referee's foot. He tweaked his ankle. He left him ineffective really the rest of the game, and it was almost as if Chris Middleton smelled the blood, hitting a trio of threes in less than 2 minutes. He ended up finishing with 38 points. The Bucks outscoring the Hawks 30-17 in the final. Look, how you feeling, Chris?
It's hurting. It's frustrating. When I came back in, it was just kind of sore, and I made me mad. I couldn't really go as fast as I wanted to, and then when I did, it hurt. So just gotta get treatment, and hopefully it feels better for next game.
I think once I realized I hit 2 in a row, just told myself to keep trying to find a shot to get up, knowing that I was gonna have a good chance of getting in. That's how I was thinking at that time.
All right, Middleton going off. So, Perk, what did Middleton prove last night?
What I've been preaching time and time again, that he's the Batman of this team and Giannis is the Robin. And look, it's okay to be the Robin. People think that's a bad thing. It's not. Okay, we all know that Giannis is a guy that could dominate the paint. He could get to the paint when he won't. But when it matters the most, we have seen time and time again that Giannis freezes up in the big moments. But when it matters the most, you could put the ball in Chris Middleton's hands and he delivers in great fashion. He's a guy that can create for his own. He's a shot maker. He shoots about 90% from the free throw line. He gets the job done. Last night, did you see him, Charlie? Did you see him, Foxworth? He went for 20 in the fourth. And when they were down, he took over the game. And Giannis said it after in his post-game interview. Hey, look. It don't even matter, man. If Chris want to take it over in the fourth, let him do it. You know what that told me? That Giannis even knows that he's the Batman on this team, Chris Middleton.
That's a stretch. So we're going to start off with some wild takes. I've heard you said that before in the past. So Chris Middleton is great. He proved last night that he can be big in big moments. But first of all, you said being called a Robin is not an insult. It absolutely is an insult to a 2-time MVP. Robin don't even got no pants. They send that man out there in bikini shorts with boots on. That's not the way you would treat a Batman. Batman got pants, and the person who wears the pants on that team is obviously the almost 7-foot Giannis Antetokounmpo. That whole team is built around him. You know why Chris Middleton can go off on occasion? Because they devise entire defenses to slow down Giannis. And yes, he's not perfect. He struggles from the free throw line, and his three-pointers, I think, 17% in the playoffs. They are bad. He is not perfect, but he is obviously the person who this team is built around. And you know how I can absolutely prove it? If I haven't proven it so far, I can prove it like this. At the end of this season, or at the end of both of their careers, No one is going to look at Giannis, say they never won a championship. No one's going to look at Chris Middleton and say, Chris Middleton never won a championship. They're going to look at the two-time NBA MVP and measure his career by how many championships he won. That's only something that we do to Batman. We don't count up all of Pippen's championships, even though he won 6 and he was great. That's not something we do. That's how I know that Giannis is the Batman of this situation and is the star of that team. It's not even a debate.
See, and Foxworth, that lets me further know that while you were out doing other things last night, and this is why you're sitting in Max Kellerman's seat, because you probably wasn't even watching the game of basketball, okay? Last night watching the game, because if you were watching the game, then you can't sit up here and come here this morning and say, oh no, Chris Middleton don't look like the Batman. Chris Middleton don't look like the more skilled player. Chris Middleton don't look like he embraces the moment when it matters the most. I'm not saying overall career. I'm talking about right now on this Milwaukee Bucks team, Chris Middleton is the Batman. I saw Giannis on a couple of occasions last night when he went to the free throw line and the crowd started chanting and counting down, how long he was at the free throw line. And he shot airball free throws. He shot an airball three-pointer. But when they were down 6 or 7 points, Chris Middleton said, give me the damn basketball, and he took over. That's what Batmans do.
Well, it's one game. I give you that. Last night, Chris Middleton was more important to them. But throughout these entire playoffs and throughout the recent history of this franchise, the guy who leads them in points, rebounds, and he gets more assists than Chris Middleton. The guy who leads this team, the anchor to the defense. So we're not even going to talk about how Chris Middleton, at best, is probably, at best, he's close. He's not even close to what Giannis contributes on the defensive end of the ball. You gonna roll your eyes at me? You as a center don't appreciate rim protection.
Oh, first of all, don't give me that about rim protection, because Giannis is the secondary rim protector to Brook Lopez, and don't even bring up defense when you talk about them. Go pull up the stats. Go pull up the data. Don't even talk to me about Giannis. Don't even talk to me about Giannis and defense. Please don't. Because you know what? I'm going to take you back into last series alone. When it was time to guard Kevin Durant in Game 7, you know who was checking Kevin Durant? It was Chris Middleton. You know who was delivering buckets on the other end in the fourth quarter going toe-to-toe with KD? It was Chris Middleton. Giannis didn't check KD one time throughout the whole entire series.
Their best and most effective lineup is when Giannis is at the 5, offensively and defensively. So maybe you're going to say that Lopez is their primary rim protector, but when it's winning time, Giannis is the rim protector. And pulling Giannis away from the basket to guard Kevin Durant is not what's best for the team. So I'm with you. In that moment, it looks like you can pick these isolated moments, but if we open up the league to a draft right now, Giannis is getting picked before Chris Middleton because Giannis is better and more valuable to the team. Like, I understand all these shortcomings that Giannis has, and I understand that Chris Middleton is cooking in the playoffs right now. But let's not pretend like Chris Middleton is better than Giannis. That's the argument you're making, that somehow he's better?
I said he's more skilled, and I'm gonna end on this note. When I used to do crazy things or say things that I shouldn't have said, my grandmother used to tell me, God bless your heart, baby. You don't know no better. And that's how I feel about you right now.
That I don't know no better. Okay, so please, we're GMs in the same league, and now I got Giannis or you got Giannis on your team. I got Chris Middleton on my team, and I'm gonna say let's trade him, and you're gonna be like, yeah, sign it, send it to the league, fax it over to the league office right now.
Listen, I was almost about to call you Max. Dominique, listen what I'm telling you. I'm telling you right now in the moment, I'm talking about this season. I'm not saying who would you start a franchise with. I'm saying in this moment in the Eastern Conference Finals, when you have been watching the Milwaukee Bucks team play, Chris Middleton has been the Batman.
Right.
He's delivered when it mattered the most.
All I'm saying is you can't call that a Batman. Robin saved the day once or twice. That don't mean that he's Batman. Batman is the one that all of Gotham relies on. That's who Giannis is. Everyone's relying on him game in and game out. And Chris Middleton is stepping up recently. I appreciate it. He is great. I'm not trying to denigrate him. He's awesome. but he ain't Batman.
All right, well, I guess the roles can be debated, but Middleton does continue to step up. With that performance last night, Middleton became the first Bucks player with a 20-point fourth quarter in the past 25 seasons. Also, the last Bucks player in the last 25 seasons to have a 20-point quarter in any point of the game. That was also Chris Middleton. So he does continue to step up, showing his dominance in the postseason. But guys, we got a lot to get to. I told you we only have 1 hour here on First Take, so let's keep it rolling. Chauncey Billups officially named the Blazers head. Suns are 1 win away from the NBA Finals, and Devin Booker has been leading the way, averaging a team-high 27 per game this postseason, the third most in a single postseason in franchise history. DeAndre Ayton making his own history this postseason, shooting nearly 71% from the field. That's the highest field goal percentage in a single postseason in the shot clock era. And then there's Chris Paul, who continues to be a floor general, leading the team in assists per game. His assist-to-turnover ratio this postseason is the 5th best in the last 40 years. All right, so we have a lot to choose from. So, Neek, who is the most valuable as far as the success of the Suns is concerned?
All right, so I'm not going to pick Chris Paul, even though he is the smartest guy on that team and the most experienced. I'm not even going to go with Devin Booker, even though he's the best scorer and the most skilled. Of their big three, I'm going with the big man. I'm going with DeAndre Ayton. Because it seems to me that the skills that he has can't be replicated by anybody else on that team. No one is better at running the team than Chris Paul. But we've seen Devin Booker serviceably be a point guard and distributor and run the pick and roll and all that stuff. No one scores as well as Booker. But we've seen Campaign come out and cook for a hot minute and do things like that. Nobody can do what DeAndre Ayton can do on that team as far as rebounding, giving them offensive rebounds, which is just as good as turnovers, giving them the ball back in those situations. But more importantly, it's his ability to stay on the floor on the defensive end of the court. Because we see in the playoffs, and we saw it especially with Utah, with Rudy Gobert, is how difficult it is for a big man to be able to protect the rim and also be switched on the little guys and be okay. And DeAndre Ayton has done that. And my fear, the reason why I think he is probably the most important person right now, is that they could get away. They did get away with not having Chris Paul on the floor for a game, and they won. And they can get away for stretches of not having Devin Booker out there or not even having him play all that well, because after he broke his nose, he hasn't been the same necessarily since that happened and with Patrick Beverley on him. But I don't think they can survive without a big man like they have in DeAndre Ayton. I think if you pull him off of this team is much worse, especially given the way that he's playing right now. And that's not even to get into his burst of offensive production that he's had in the playoffs. He is a really, really special player right now. And I know that he's not better than either of those other guys, but he's more important because his skills are harder to find and they are much needed in the playoffs.
Well, Dominique, let me say this. You are right. He is a skilled big man, and I'm a huge fan of DeAndre Ayton. I love what he has done in this postseason for us anchoring the defense on the defensive end of on the defensive side of things, and what he's provided offensively. Nice touch around the basket. He's a lob threat at the basket. He has great footwork. He has it all, in my opinion. And no one ever questioned his skill set. But let me tell you why CP3 is the most valuable, okay? Because he brought something to this team that they were missing, and that's heart. That's toughness. He instilled that into these young guys, a winning culture, winning ways, how to sacrifice, how to put yourself last, how to lose yourself in the team. And that's what we're seeing. We watch this Phoenix Suns team play, and they play a gender-free basketball. They don't care who has to shine. They don't care who's leading the team and scoring that night. They just want to get the W. And that goes to how great of a leader and floor general Chris Paul is. Now, with that being said, when it's time for him to step up and rise to the occasion, let's not forget, before he left and went and had to go into that COVID protocol, what he did to the Denver Nuggets. All right, I believe he dropped 37 in the closeout game. But when you look at what DeAndre Ayton said post-game, he said it himself. The best thing that happened for my career was CP3 coming here. He said it himself. So with that being said, that's enough said for us who's the most valuable player. CP3 is a culture changer. He may not have won the championship yet, because I strongly believe that this is his year to win the championship. He may not have won it yet, But every organization he's touched, he made them a winning a culture. So to take a team from not making the playoffs in 2000 since 2010 and getting them where they at today, CP3 is the most valuable. He should have won MVP of the league, in my opinion.
All right, now that's a whole nother debate. But I think that the problem with giving CP3 all this credit for these intangible things, I think he deserves it. I love him as a player, and the few times I spent with him, he's an awesome person, and I can see how he could motivate people in that way. But when you're doing that, you're also taking credit away from Monty Williams. Like, it's not like they didn't win, 9 straight in the bubble last year? Like, they were learning how to play together back then. Like, this is not something that CP3 just introduced to them. Like, they were playing agenda-free, as you called it, basketball back then, right? Like, they were started to build this. Chris Paul's not the only one who does that. Monty Williams does that. And that's my point. That's why Ayton is special to me, because he's the only one on the team that they have that can do what he does, particularly on the defensive end of the ball. And his screening, I know it's not something that people want to talk a lot about, but the assists off the screens, like, that is a valuable thing that it seems like no one else on that roster can do or does do nearly as well or consistently as DeAndre Ayton. And you brought up the last series. Who was guarding Jokic? That was Ayton. So I understand CP3's 37 points. It's impressive, but you watch that series, them not needing to double Jokic consistently is a credit to DeAndre Ayton. And Chris Paul, as great as he is, he's not having that impact on the defensive end of the floor.
Are you serious right now? Are you really serious right now? Look, Dominique, listen.
Okay.
I know you're watching the same. Do you have your return on? Are you watching the clips that are being played right now?
I'm watching them clips. I see them clips.
Okay, so in this pick and roll setting, when DeAndre Ayton is being set up for easy layups and easy lobs at the basket, who is setting these plays up for him on this return? Is it CP3?
I believe it's Chris Paul. It could be Cliff, but I think it's Chris.
It could be Chris or it could be Cliff Paul, right? From the State Farm, it could be Cliff. Right? It's Cliff Paul, right? You see what I'm saying, man. At the end of the day, I'm not taking anything away from DeAndre Ayton. I'm not taking anything away from him. He's one of my favorite players in the league. Before the season, I said he was going to have a breakout season. But Chris Paul, what he brought to that team, he brought that killer mentality. Before then, look, DeAndre Ayton last year was averaging 16 and 10. But he just brought the kill out of him. That's the difference.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. And that's why I didn't focus on the offensive side of the ball. Like, I know that a lot of his points are created by Chris Paul being able to masterfully run that pick and roll. But I do think that he might have woken DeAndre Ayton up. But now that DeAndre Ayton is awake, he's more valuable to that team. And we've seen it.
All right, well, only one game away from advancing to the finals as far as the Suns are concerned. And historically speaking, teams that are up 3-1 in a series have a 95.1 chance of winning. So things are looking good for CP3, DeAndre Ayton, and the Suns. All right, guys, let's keep it moving. We still have a lot more to get to right here on First Take. Jason Billups will be the next head coach of the Blazers, but neither hire avoided controversy, and it has some people fired up. We'll discuss that next. Plus, as Trae Young continues to set these playoffs on fire, the Luka versus Trae trade is starting to look a lot more even than originally thought. Who would Perk rather have? With the Trailblazers announcing the hire of Chauncey Billups. Now, according to sources of our Adrian Wojnarowski, the deal is for 5 years with the former LA Clippers assistant that includes a team option on the last season. Now, Billups had an illustrious career in the NBA, winning the 2004 NBA title with the Pistons in the Finals MVP award. A 5-time All-Star, he's the only player with a winning record against Michael Jordan, Kobe, and also LeBron. Now, along with Billups' hire, Jason Kidd was named the head coach of the Mavericks last Thursday. Now, both have amazing resumes. However, off-court issues have led to questions surrounding their hires. In 2001, Kidd was arrested for suspicion of hitting his wife and pleaded guilty to spousal abuse. Then in 2012, he also pleaded guilty to a DUI. Billups, on the other hand, settled a civil case in 1997 when a woman alleged that he and his former teammate Ron Mercer raped her. Criminal charges were never filed, but according to police reports, a rape kit examination displayed injuries consistent with sexual assault. The Blazers have looked into the matter again before hiring Billups, and they were able to not really draw up anything new. But Perk, you got to look at all of these factors. Are these hires a bad look for the league, would you say?
No, it's not. You know it's a bad look in the NBA to be writing these articles at this time. That's what's a bad look. Because guess what? When Jason Kidd and Chauncey Billups, when they were the product and they were put on the shelves and they were selling out and they were making money and they were around here delivering championships and making all-star games and selling out jerseys and signing autographs, everything was all fine and dandy when you were the product. Now all of a sudden, when two African Americans have learned from their mistakes, and when I'm talking about Jason Kidd, he learned from his mistakes. He had 2 head coaching hires since then. He was an assistant coach with the Los Angeles Lakers, won a championship. Nothing was said. This man has changed his life. Rick Carlisle endorsed him. Dirk Nowitzki endorsed him. Not a word was said. And when you look at what Chauncey Billups has done, all right, finished his a hell of a career, assistant under Ty Lue, worked on our network at ESPN and was a hell of a commentator, did a hell of a job. Should have been a GM in my eyes instead of being a coach because he's that great of evaluating talent. That's how special he is to the game. But soon as African Americans can take that leap and get in place of power, this is when it all starts to come out. This is when these writers want to start bringing up people past, like everyone don't have a damn past. I'm pretty sure we all have something that we done when we were younger that we wouldn't do again. Now, I get it. If with Jason Kidd's situation, if he was a repeated offender, and it was something that he was doing time and time again, okay, I can see that. But this man has grown from that. Chauncey Billups wasn't accused of anything, no criminal charges. Let it go. Let these people get their jobs that they deserve and move on.
Yeah, I think that it's a different question of whether they should get the jobs or if it's a bad look. Like, I do think it's a bad look because particularly in Chauncey's cases, he was up against Becky Hammon, and it's a particularly bad look for the NBA, which is considered the most progressive major sports league that we have, at least major men's sports league that we have in this country. And for them to, two hires of guys who have been accused of mistreating women or sexually assaulting or hitting women, for them to get hired and Becky Hammon not to get hired, I don't see how we can argue that it's not a good look. And that doesn't mean that these guys never deserve to work again or that they need to continue paying a price for something they've been accused of or pled guilty to in Jason Kidd's case years ago. Doesn't mean that they can never rebound from that, but we do have to acknowledge it. And it's a story that whether it comes out now or comes out later or came out earlier, it's a story that's not going to go away. Like, it's going to stick with these guys for their entire careers. And I think I had a group text about this situation with a couple friends of mine over the week, and one of the things that came out of that I think was important and we should highlight is that the country doesn't really, and in Chauncey's case specifically, like our country, the judicial system hasn't figured out how to properly deal with sexual assault. And for the NBA, for us to expect the NBA to figure out how to do it is asking a lot. And we can go back to the previous president was accused of many different sexual assault incidents, and that didn't disqualify him from getting that job. So I'm not saying that that's the bar that we have to reach necessarily, but I am saying that I understand when guys or when anybody commits a crime or is accused of a crime, like there should be a process that we go through, which includes finding out or determining whether they are guilty or innocent. And then it also includes some punishment. And then when you come back from that punishment, then you are allowed to re-enter society and you're allowed to work again. It doesn't mean that you should be the head coach of a team or general manager of a team. And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be. But all those things need to take place. And I don't think that's a failing of the NBA. That's a failing of our judicial system more than anything else. But it does, I mean, to get back to the original question, it does look bad today to have that as one of the headlines.
Yeah, but Dominique, look, the situation that happened with Chauncey Billups happened when this man was 19 years old. That was almost 30 years ago. And then he wasn't found guilty. It wasn't like he had you could go Google his criminal record and it's on there. Nothing happened, okay, at the end of the day. But you know what's even more disrespectful when we talk about being disrespectful to Becky Hammond, the women of the world? You know what's more disrespectful is that people are putting this out about Chauncey Billups when he have a wife and 3 daughters. How about the disrespectful stuff in that when people are writing these articles about him that is false because he was never accused in the first damn place? That's disrespectful.
Well, yeah, I'm with you. I don't appreciate. I'm sure Chauncey doesn't appreciate it, but like the facts are the facts. Like the accusations were there. They brought up the accusations, and I don't think that it's disrespectful. I didn't use the word disrespectful. Like I don't think it's disrespectful to Becky Hammond or disrespectful to anybody. I just think it's a bad look. And whether it's right or wrong doesn't matter. It's about the optics of the situation. The question is, does it look good or does it look bad? It looks bad for a league that prides itself on being progressive to have a woman in the running for the job, whether she deserved it or not. I'm sure she deserves to be a head coach at some point. It looks bad to deny a woman a job and then hire 2 men who are being accused of violent acts against women. Like it looks bad. It doesn't mean that it's. Go ahead, Perk.
But Foxworth, this is what I'm telling you, man. Listen, at the end of the day, J. Kidd had 2 jobs. He was with the Nets, he was with the Bucks, he got hired on with the Lakers. Nobody said a damn word. And at the end of the day, it's not about men or women when you're talking about hiring for coaching. It's who's better fit for the job, who the people want, who the coaches want, who the organization want. Damian Lillard said for the Portland Trail Blazers, when asked, he wanted either Jason Kidd or Chauncey Billups.
That's fine. I'm not disagreeing with any of that. And I like Chauncey Billups. I know him a little bit personally from Denver, and I liked him, but I don't know him well enough to know whether these are real or fake. But you brought up at the beginning of this how unfair it is, in part because they are black men. So I think you also understand that sometimes just because somebody wants to hire someone doesn't mean that they deserve the job. It's not an argument against Becky or against either of these guys or an argument for Becky Hammond, but just because somebody as a football player and someone who's been in the NFL, there's lots of black coaches who deserve to get hired. They didn't get the job because we fell back and we weren't critical of them. It's a whole nother conversation, but I'm with you on the point that you're making. Like, it's uncomfortable for all of us, and it is a bad look for the league.
Yeah, I actually have to agree with Dominique. I do think it's a bad look for the league. I think as far as the optics are concerned, I mean, I know that they did re-delve into that investigation and, tried to figure out what they could, didn't find anything else, and decided that at the end of the day it was more important to hire Chauncey as their head coach than anything else. So they went with that decision. But it also makes me wonder how serious they actually were about hiring Becky Hammond, because you talk about optics. Sometimes you have to wonder if teams really just say Becky's a finalist just for the fact that, this would make us look good to show that we're actually considering hiring a woman as our head coach. Were they actually really? I have no idea, but this makes me question that and really, truly wonder about it. So, guys, good discussion. We have to move on now, but...
Pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Atlanta Hawks select Luka Doncic. The Dallas Mavericks select Trae Young.
The Hawks and the Mavericks have an agreement.
Oh, what a finish by Trae Young.
Fires one more dagger. Straight away, three, good!
Into the shoot.
How did he do
it? Here comes Luka.
Both Luka Doncic and Trae Young have put up big numbers to start their NBA careers, but Luka has the edge in points per game, rebounds per game, and has helped lead his team to a better record through 3 seasons. But Trae has emerged as a superstar this postseason, leading the Hawks to the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, some are questioning who would be the better player to start a franchise with. Now, Perk, I have a feeling who you're going to choose just based on your opinions in the past, but who would you start a franchise with, Luka Doncic or Trae Young?
Oh, me? We start with me? I'm going with Luka.
Oh, no, I said Perk.
I thought you said Perk. Yeah, go ahead, Perk.
No, go ahead, Dominique. I want to hear what you got to say. Go ahead.
I mean, it's a tough decision because they both are great, and I think Trae Young right now is my favorite player to watch, mostly because he does the ice tray and because he bowed in Madison Square Garden. He got all the attitude that I want in my best player. But I'm going to go with Luka in large part because of NBA history. Like, he's a big guy who can play the point guard position, and that's what tends to win. It's not necessarily big guys that can play point guard position, but when your best player on the team is a big dude over 6'5", that's what wins championships in this league. That's the history. It's hard to argue against anything that Trae Young is doing and how deep they've made it into the playoffs this year. He's obviously doing better in the playoffs than Luka's ever done. But the first 3 years of Luka's career, he's been playing like a very mature veteran. I don't know if that's how he behaves in the locker room or around the team. That's a whole nother conversation. But on the court, he seems to make most of the right decisions. He seems comfortable in all these situations. He needs to get better on defense, obviously, but he's a big guy who can get his shot off at any moment. And that's why I would go with him, because there's really very little. We showed the stats. There's very little difference statistically in what you're going to get from either of these point guards. So I defer to size, which might be a bit of a weak argument, but I don't know where else to go with this one, Perk.
Well, I'm going to tell you where I'm going with it. If I'm a GM and I'm starting a franchise, I'm taking Ice Trae. You know why? Because I know one thing, I'm going to keep my job. I'm not going to walk away or get fired or let go. See, right now what's going on in Dallas, we don't know what's going on. The coaches is walking away, the general managers, the front office. It's a disaster over there. And that goes to show me that something is going on in that locker room with their star player. When it comes down to Ice Trae, I'm looking at what he's doing and how he's doing it. Not only is he's getting buckets, but it looks like to me, guys love playing with him. I can't say the same for Luka. Porzingis look highly upset. Josh Richardson looks highly upset. Like, the difference between the two is that Trae could get others involved, and he could take a back seat and let others rock out. When I watch Luka, Luka has the ball in his hands 20 of the 24 seconds of the shot clock, and then he's passing the ball to a teammate and putting them in a bad position and saying, just catch and shoot. Trae Young, it feels like it's a joy to play with him. Yeah. So I'm going with Trae Young. Right now, what he's doing and got the Hawks to the Eastern Conference Finals, and I'm a GM, I'm keeping my job because he embraces the role of winning and team guy. He's a team guy.
Yeah, well, I mean, Trae Young has a different head coach now than he did at the beginning of the season. So I don't know how secure your job will be if you're there with Trae Young either. But I do understand everything you're saying. You left out my man from University of Maryland, old Red Velvet, Kevin Huerter, who can cook too. They give him the ball and let him work. So I'm with you on all of that. But I think the difference is Luka holds the ball because they don't have those guys. Like, Porzingis is not the player that he was. I guess Hardaway is the guy you would want to give, but Hardaway is not the player that they have down in Atlanta. So I think that's what it boils down to. Maybe Porzingis in another situation will be different. Neither of us know. Maybe he'll be in a situation, maybe no matter what, he'll always play like James Harden did in Houston. But we see that James Harden has found another way to play with the Nets. So I'm thinking that Luka can do that in the right situation with the right players around him. That's all.
Well, you talked about big guards, and you talked about, you got to be over 6'5", and that's what's going to win you games and keep your franchise above water. Did Steph Curry die? Because last time I checked, he's only about 6'2". Okay, so when I look at Trae Young, he's also a guy that's a smaller guard, but he's a four-level scorer. Anytime you have to make an adjustment of sending two guys to trap a guy and it's not in the pick-and-roll coverage, that means you have something special.
Yeah, we'll talk about something special. Young has started each series this postseason, averaging 38.3 points per game in the 3-game ones that he's played in. That's the most in NBA history, and I have to say, he is very, very fun to watch. So I look forward to seeing what he does with the rest of his career. Okay, guys, let's move on. We're with the Trailblazers announcing the hire of Chauncey Billups. Now, according to sources of our Adrian Wojnarowski, the deal is for 5 years with the former LA Clippers assistant that includes a team option on the last season. Now, Billups had an illustrious career in the NBA, winning the 2004 NBA title with the Pistons in the Finals MVP award. A 5-time All-Star, he's the only player with a winning record against Michael Jordan, Kobe, and also LeBron. Now, along with Billups' hire, Jason Kidd was named the head coach of the Mavericks last Thursday. Now, both have amazing resumes. However, off-court issues have led to questions surrounding their hires. In 2001, Kidd was arrested for suspicion of hitting his wife and pleaded guilty to spousal abuse. Then in 2012, he also pleaded guilty to a DUI. Billups, on the other hand, settled a civil case in 1997 when a woman alleged that he and his former teammate Ron Mercer raped her. Criminal charges were never filed, but according to police reports, a rape kit examination displayed injuries consistent with sexual assault. The Blazers have looked into the matter again before hiring Billups, and they were able to not really draw up anything new. But Perk, you got to look at all of these factors. Are these hires a bad? Tired of it. He said, quote, emotionally last season was definitely frustrating, especially for a guy like me. I want to win. Not going to the playoffs is weird for me. I know it's the NFL and I haven't been yet, but I've always played past the regular season in every sport. It's different. I am definitely not looking to get used to that. So, Dom, do you think that Kyler is going to win a Super Bowl in his career?
I mean, probably not. Like, he's a very good quarterback. I think a lot of people expected him to take a bigger leap like last year into like the elite class of quarterbacks. He still can. He's not there yet. But the problem is it's so hard to win a Super Bowl and also kind of random. Like the Super Bowl is or the playoffs is not like the NBA playoffs where it's a series. It's a one-game sample, and sometimes people get lucky and sometimes teams get unlucky. So I think Kyler Murray can have a great career. There's several quarterbacks who are in the Hall of Fame who haven't won Super Bowls. So it's not a knock against Kyler Murray. It's just really hard to get everything to work right at the same time in order to win a Super Bowl. So he could be awesome, but relying on or counting on betting that he's going to win a Super Bowl, I think is a little bit risky. He's not quite that good where you can just look at him and say, oh, this guy, there's no way that he doesn't win a championship.
Well, I'll tell you what. Look, he's from Texas, and one thing you can't count out is a Texas boy, all right? One thing you can't count out is a Texas boy. He's a winner, and to me, he keeps improving every single year. He got better last year. Yes, he has things he has to work on. But when you talk about the modern-day quarterback, a guy that could scramble out the pocket, that could rush and get you on a scramble 20 to 30, even 50 yards where he can't be touched because he's just that shifty and that quick, right? But when you talk about now what they added around him, he already had DeAndre Hopkins. Then you add A.J. Green. You got Christian Kirk in that wide receiving core. Lord knows if Larry Fitzgerald comes back, that might be the best receiving core in the damn NFL. And then they done beefed up on the defensive side of things. I'm not saying that they're going to win a Super Bowl this year because I got the Tennessee Titans winning it. But all I'm saying is that can he win one in his career? I believe he can.
Yeah, that's the Texas in you talking. Like, I agree with you that he can, but Willie, I'm not sure I would bet on it. And you're right, all your analysis is right on, and you're from Texas, so I expect that you know a lot more about football than the average basketball player. So you're right about all that stuff, but the challenge is, in the NFL, the division matters. And that division is so tough. So, like, you can only get one bye, and that increases your chances of winning the Super Bowl. So they are getting better. But the problem is everybody else in that division seems like they have gotten better, too. Particularly the Rams gotten a lot better. So it's going to be tough to even make the playoffs for them this year, especially since he's never been to the playoffs.
All right, well, we'll see what happens with Kyler, but we have a big game going on tonight, guys. Kawhi Leonard officially out for Game 5 tonight. The Suns just one game away from getting to the finals for the first time since 1993. So, Perk, who you got winning tonight?
Oh, it's over. Suns at 5. Look, I know Ty Lue, he's great with his back against the wall. He's come back from being down 3-1. I got the Suns winning this, closing this out in great fashion. The crowd is going to be rowdy tonight. Role players are going to be ready. And Chris Paul do not want to go to a Game 6. He's going to take this under control.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm with you on the Suns. The Clippers have had their chances to win and frankly have blown them. So I'm not sure that they're going to be able to muster up what they need to get back into a close game at the end. And with Kawhi officially out, obviously we knew he probably wasn't going to play. With him officially out and them down 3, it's hard, I think, for them to muster the energy, although Ty Lue has done it before, to come back from down 3-1.
Okay, and real quick, Perk, you think that Paul George is going to have a big game tonight?
I wouldn't bet on it. I wouldn't bet on it. I think they're going to be on this heels like
well, we will see what
But
happens.
Charlie,
Guys, it's been so much fun. 1 hour. We did it.